And Murder plays fine off 7 swamps.
Yeah, you're gonna play it.
You can cast it on turn 6 or whatever, and it's fine. But overall, Murder just brings that awkward question to the forefront. It's just hard to get enough good black cards to want to play 9-10 swamps in your deck.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get there, but a lot of the times you're still like, well, I'm blue-black, but I just have 15 blue cards and 8 black cards. So you're not really able to play 9-10 swamps as easily as you could otherwise.
Yeah, and if you do, that means that you've got more black cards and your deck's probably not as good. All right, well, good stuff, man. I think that, part of the fun that we get to have on the show is keeping up on these formats. And this is one way we can do it. We can touch in on certain cards. We'll be going deeper on archetypes as well once we have that fully fleshed out. I'm feeling pretty solid now and there, but when you start writing it down, you start to realize, I actually haven't drafted black green that much yet, or, whatever. And maybe I'll hop on and try to figure out what's going on, or just pay attention to what my opponents are doing. But we'll of course be doing that as we move through this format, which, by the way, I really like. The format.
Oh yeah, the format is a lot of fun. It's too early to tell. It's just funny saying that, 20 to 25 drafts in, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It's funny because I think I'm 30 drafts in, but I think a bunch of those drafts, I was either distracted or missed a bunch of picks. So I guess I'm just not counting them.
Yeah,
wasn't my fault.
Distracted. Yeah, exactly. All right.
But I think I like this more than Shadows.
Oh, I do. I'm locking that in already.
And Shadows was a format I did enjoy drafting. So
yeah, it was fun.
That bodes well.
Yeah, to me, it's all about the werewolves, man. I just think they really did a good job with this.
Yeah, those are fun.
Okay, that is going to do it for the show this week. First, I want to remind you that Limited Resources is brought to you by channelfireball.com. Please do check out their website. They really do a great job supporting the show and helping us out with anything that we happen to need. And we'd appreciate it if you would check out their website the next time you're in the market for something Magic related. And if you're not at the moment, you can still go there and get free content. It's free. It's 100% free. They don't charge for their stuff. You can watch videos. You can read articles by some of the best players in the whole world over on Channel Fireball. Also, you can find us on social media. I am Marshall_LR and Luis is LSV. You can find everything related to the podcast at lrcast.com. That's right. You can find links to our streams. I stream sometimes. Luis streams even more often than I do. You don't want to miss it. Really good fun on Luis's stream. You can also check out our YouTube page. We've got some cool stuff, and I've been working hard at, getting even more neat stuff up there for you guys. I'll be recording the depth check draft at some point here in the near future and start editing that down. That's something that we hit as a milestone goal on the Patreon as well. This is just more of the cool perks that we get. But of course, everybody gets to enjoy that. Those are up on the YouTube page for Limited Resources there. You can subscribe and check that out while you're there. Next week, I got a GP this weekend. I'll be moving next week probably, but whatever. We'll find time to make a show, and we'll see you then.
So since this is the show right after the Pro Tour, I do want to share a very funny story that shows the true determination and heart that Limited Resources listeners can really identify with. And apologies if you've heard the story already, if you watched Paul Cheon's Chalog, but it is a great story, and I do have to share it. So we show up for day 2 of the Pro Tour. I was 7-1 and Paul was 6-2. We draft our decks. My deck was really bad. Paul's deck was also really bad. We play our first round. I lose. I go over to find out how Paul did, and he looked like he was dying. He was slumped over on a table, and with his head in his hands. I was like, dude, what happened? And it turned out he got food poisoning. And we think it was from the muffin he ate in the morning.
A nefarious muffin.
Yeah, the poison chocolate chip muffin. And he was literally throwing up during his round. He would have to get up from the table, go throw up in the bathroom, and come back.
God, that poor guy.
And he just looked like he couldn't even function. He goes to play round 2. He loses that round. And at this point, I actually was able to watch part of his match because I finished my match quickly. I walk over, and he's got his hand face down on the table, his hand of cards. He's slumped over, and every turn he just looks at his top card and either puts it into play or puts it into his hand.
Wow.
That's what he does, and he just
he's just barely hanging on.
Yeah, he looks so bad. He doesn't even look at what his opponent is doing. His opponent's saying attack you, and Paul's block or take it or whatever, and Paul loses. I don't know if he would have won these matches otherwise, but his deck was very bad, or because his deck was very bad. But the way he was playing, he had to be losing a solid 10%, if not more, per match, just based on based on the fact that he was really no longer like making like informed decisions. He was just
right.
Playing his cards in the worst possible manner. Right. So, I sat with him after that round. Again, if you watch his video log, his log, I actually started filming at that point, saying like, "Sorry guys, Paul just can't make it, but I'm going to take over filming from here."
I'll put the link in the show notes, by the way. For
you should watch it. It's really the whole. If you are interested in what the whole experience is like, it's a really fun show. Paul makes me look a little bit more mean than I think I really am, just based on how he edited it. But
please, God.
So Paul, I'm taking over the filming at this point. Paul is just lying down. He's like, "I can't make it. I've got to drop. I just cannot play." But at this point, pairings go up. So he goes over, and it's like, it's too late. You can't drop. Pairings already. And Paul's just like, whatever. I'm just going to go concede to my opponent, and then I'm going to leave. I just can't play. He goes over and is just like, whatever. I'll play my round. It's like my opponent's already sitting there. Like, at the end of the day, I'm 6-4 in a Pro Tour. I just feel so much worse if I just drop from the PT. So he plays his round. He wins his round. So he went 1-2 with the stack.
What a hero.
He goes back to the hotel, which is walking distance away, and sleeps for like half an hour because there's like a 50-minute lunch break. He gets whatever it was out of his system. I don't want to know through which means, but there were many. He comes back to the site, and he no longer looks like he's about to immediately die. He just looks like he's terminally ill. But he doesn't look like
which is a vast improvement.
In the act of dying, he wins his next round, wins his next round, loses round 15, wins round 16, and finishes 18th in the Pro Tour.
Unbelievable.
And it was awesome. Like,
what a sicko.
Paul's just one of my like closest friends, and I just like, my heart was breaking watching him drop. Say he was going to drop. I actually told a bunch of people, yeah, Paul dropped, because that's what he said he was going to do when we left to go to our round. And it was just, and then to find out that he finished 18th at the Pro Tour after dropping, like going to drop from the tournament, like asking if he could be dropped is I don't know. I think that's just like,
that's incredible.
A pretty incredible accomplishment, and kind of the fighting spirit I love to see. So that was a really cool story.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Limited Resources. This episode number 348. My name is Marshall. I'm one of your Limited Resources. And joining me on the couch It's Luis Scott Vargas. Luis, how are you, sir?
I'll have you know, first of all, that I'm not lying down.
No.
I'm sitting up because it's business time.
But you do have your phone in your hand. Are you
I'm looking at the show
tweeting?
notes.
Oh, the
No.
show notes. All right. I don't have to take it from you this
Yeah.
time?
No, you do not.
Not yet.
And things are good. Things are good. It's the night before Pro Tour. This is, like I was actually just telling Marshall, one of my favorite shows is just always the Pro Tour show. Just because
Yeah.
it's the culmination of, weeks of testing, trying to figure out the format, and giving you the freshest, hottest, up-to-date tips on just whatever the current limited format is. And plus, this is a really good limited format.
Yeah, we've really been having a lot of fun with this one. So, for those not in the know, we're in Australia. Luis and I are in his hotel room in Sydney. And like he said, this is, really just hours before the Pro Tour.
Yeah, it is 8:40 p.m. our time. My deck list is due in 3 hours.
In 3 hours, and you have not submitted it yet.
I have not. No, I hope the show doesn't go that long.
Yes, but the good news is you feel good about the limited format, and that's what we're going to be talking
yeah.
about here today. And I'm excited to talk about it too. I've been putting in a lot of drafts, talking with you, talking with other players on the coverage team and stuff like that. So we will be getting to all of that today because we're going to be doing our insider on Pro Tour testing here for Pro Tour Eldritch Moon. Before we do, I want to remind you that Channel Fireball, that Limited Resources, is brought to you by channelfireball.com. They are a fantastic place for you to go and find everything you need Magic related. That's right. You can get free content. That's one of the best things about the site. I remember way back when I first started checking out Magic content and stuff, 2008, 2009, was right when Channel Fireball was first spinning up. I mean, it was in its infancy at the time. And I remember I used to go there every day because there was content. And it was like, I got to read stuff from John Laux, who was like a local player for us. And that has, of course, developed into the best content site on the web for Magic. You can find videos, podcasts, articles from some of the best players in the world, all teaching you how to improve, just like we're trying to do on this show here. And of course, while you're there, you can pick up singles, you can pick up sealed product, you can sell your cards back, you can get a 30% bonus if you want to trade them in for more packs so that you can draft again. It's all there on Channel Fireball. Great customer service. They're going to get stuff shipped out to you quickly, and we know you'll be happy with them. Please do check them out. Also, you can support the show directly via the Patreon. That's right. Patreon's a cool website that allows you to support the creators that help make your life better or that make you happy. And it's a real straightforward site. You go on there, you sign up, you can pick however much you want per show. You can also pick how much you want per month, and it will cap it so that you can stay within your budgets, and you get some cool bonuses like some thank you cards in the mail and some other neat stuff.
And you can unlock the hidden goal of us doing a fully cooking themed bonus episode. I did see someone suggest that. They might have seen your sweet corn video.
or your last sign off.
Yes.
Yeah, Luis and I are both very much into cooking. One of the cool perks you get from being a patron as well is you get to submit questions for the Patreon question of the week, which we've got here from Jeremiah Ratliff. He says, "Hey, Marshall and Luis, I've been faithfully supporting and listening to the show for just over a year now, and I want to know, what is the difference between next leveling someone and fancy play syndrome?" These are both terms that we use on the show occasionally. There have been several times where I've heard people in my local game store talking about next leveling someone, but to me it just sounds like they're trying to be cute and managed to get away with it that one time. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks, Jeremiah. Great question. There's a fine line between actually, next leveling someone in a sense of, making a play that encourages them to play into what you're trying to do or play around something, and trying to do that and failing by entering the realm of fancy play syndrome. What do you see as a difference?
Whether it works or not.
So there's another thing we use on the show. It's called results-oriented thinking.
So it is tough because, we are a nuts and bolts podcast. We are trying to improve your limited game as best we can. And as such, when this topic comes up, I generally steer people away from getting too fancy, from trying too hard to use, Jedi mind tricks or next level people, because just frequently that just does not work out. But when it does work, you do feel pretty clever. Basically, I think that the biggest difference between getting too fancy and actually next leveling someone is what you're giving up to do this trick, and whether it's distracting you from playing the game well. Mm-hmm. So if you really need your opponent to use a combat trick, So your only way to win is them using a combat trick and then, you blowing them out. Playing in a way to encourage them to do that, it just gives you your best chance of winning. If you want to try to trick them into attacking with too few creatures, so you put yourself dead on board by making an attack, that's pushing it. That's doing the slightly too fancy play. So there's no hard and fast rule here, but I think that if you're playing well and you're not like missing stuff, the different next level and generally just increases your chance of victory, even if your opponent doesn't fall for it. Whereas fancy play syndrome often is just exploitable.
Yeah, that's going back to what you said at the beginning. There, we do try to be pretty straightforward in what we teach on the podcast, and there's a reason for that, which is that most people would benefit most from cleaning up their technical play to this more straightforward approach to Magic. Then the good players, and with more experience, you'll start to recognize times when you should break from that norm and try to make a play against somebody, who that it might work on or might increase your win percentage, rather than doing it just to try to be cute or to try to get somebody. I think that, if you're trying to make one of these plays that is a little bit out there, and when you think about it to yourself, if your motivation is that you want to be able to tell your friends that you got somebody, to tell, rub it in that other person's face because maybe they always beat you at the local shop, whatever it is, you're probably off on that. If your motivation is, look, I think that this gives me the best % chance to win this game, then you're probably on the right track and you should go ahead and go for that trickiness. Generally avoid it. I mean, you play very high level Magic against very high level players. There's a decent amount of deception, but I mean, isn't it still just like technical play is still like the foundation?
You can get everywhere with just perfect technical play or near perfect technical play, like without worrying about like really tricking your opponent, getting inside their head. I'm not saying that that's not part of the game, especially when you are playing against people who really know what's going on and you really understand them. But I can name plenty of players who just never do that and are still just considered among the best players. So you don't think that that's something you need in your arsenal to be the best.
I don't see Owen, trying to like mind level people or next level people all the time.
No, it's within his range now, but it is definitely not how he has like kind of built his reputation.
Right, as one of the best players in the world. Okay, let's get a crack-a-pack in here. This one comes from Abe, who says LR rocks. Thank you, Abe. This format is so sweet. I fell asleep drafting it last night just because I wanted to. Like, it was definitely a bad idea draft.
That's the first pack of Eldritch Moon I've seen opened in real life.
What?
I've done 0 drafts except online.
Really?
Yep.
You guys haven't been drafting like at a table in a group?
Some of our team has, but I didn't do a draft until I got to Australia, until I was on Magic Online.
Done a lot of drafts in real life and online.
I've done a lot of drafts online.
Yeah, I bet you have. I just a side story. I got a chance to come and visit the testing team as they were all huddled in their conference room, and everybody was on laptops drafting. And Luis walked away from his because he had 3 drafts open that were just auto picking because his computer stopped. So sometimes you do get into the fancy play syndrome. You can't help it. All right, our first card is actually a pretty good one. It's Olivia's Dragoon. That's the 1 and a black 2/2 vampire, and you can discard a card to give it flying.
All right, so I promise we won't have too many asides, but today when we were laying out all the black asides. Commons and uncommons, because we go through and we rank every card, and Matt Nass was like, I think the dragon should be higher, and we're like, do you mean the dragoons? He's like, no, the dragon. We're like, what are you talking about? And he was talking about the 4/5 flying vampire. He was calling it a dragon because it was like a big flyer. And we're like, look, you can't call it a dragon when there's a common called dragoon.
Yeah, that's really...
And then when asked to clarify, he said, no, the dragon. Anyway, Olivia's Dragoon is a good card. It is, sadly for black, one of the best black commons.
Yeah.
What it does is it offers an efficient body with a good enabler. It makes your madness cards work. It's actually fine with Delirium too. You can just pitch a land if you need a land in your graveyard. But look, I'm not excited about first picking a black card. I'm definitely not excited to first pick Olivia's Dragoon.
I'm not either. But if I am in the aggressive black deck, this is a very important card. Desperate Sentry is next. It's 2 and a white for a human. When it dies, you get a 3/2 Eldrazi, and if you've got Delirium, it gets +3/+0. So
and
it's a
1/2.
And it's a 1/2, right? It's funny, there's a lot of these like middling 3 drops, and I know it sounds weird because these cards are rated relative to each other, but it feels like they've all gone up for me. Like, actually, this card's okay, and at first I really didn't like it that much. And I'm like, this card like actually does do enough for me to put it in my deck, and I didn't think that was going to be the case.
Yeah, it's the kind of card I want in my deck if I have emerge cards, and largely do not otherwise.
The blue white.
But I want to have emerge cards in my deck, so I would still take Dragoon over it. But Refuge Sentry is a card.
It's actually a card I didn't think it would be. Ingenious